Could Isaiah Hartenstein be leaving the New York Knicks and signing a major deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder in NBA free agency? We're going to break down those reports from multiple NBA insiders, and we also got to talk about what the Knicks are going to do if I-Hart does leave in free agency. So I'm going to give you 5 players that the Knicks could sign to try to replace number 55. But if you want the Knicks to ink a deal with Hartenstein to bring him back for 4 years and $72.5 million, I need you to like today's video. The more likes we get, the more likely it'll be that Hartenstein will be back with the Knicks. So don't be that person that jinxes it. Like the video if you want Hartenstein to re-sign with New York. Welcome into New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for stopping by as we break down the latest news and rumors. And at the forefront of that is Hartenstein potentially leaving the New York Knicks to sign with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Stefan Bondy of the New York Post, longtime New York Knicks beat reporter, says or has heard from an NBA source that it's real when it comes to Hartenstein potentially leaving for the Thunder and the Thunder having interest in him. And the reason that Hartenstein would leave the Knicks is because they only own his early bird rights. They can only offer him so much money. In fact, it's a 4-year, $72.5 million deal. And that's a lot of money for him. He deserves that, and probably some. And that's why other teams like the Thunder are interested in him, because they can offer him more money than the New York Knicks can. If the Knicks were to ink him to that 4-year, $72.5 million deal, this is what the contract breakdown would look like. He would be getting paid $16.2 million this upcoming season, then $17.4, then $18.8, and then $20.1 million. And that is a great deal for him. And it's a great deal for the Knicks. But when you're competing against a team like the OKC, who has $35.3 million in available cap space to spend, it could be tough. And if Hartenstein gets a 4-year, $80 million deal, 4 years, 85, 4 years, 90, maybe 2 years, 50, is he going to turn down that type of guaranteed money to remain with the New York Knicks? As a diehard Knicks fan, I hope so. He's an integral part to this team. He is a part of the identity in the culture. But money talks, and he deserves it. And I'm not so sure he's going to be back with the Knicks. Kurt Helin of NBC Sports said this, quote, "The expectation around the league is that some team with cap space and in need of a more traditional center will come in over the top and offer more than $80 million and closer to $90 million over 4 years, and Hartenstein will take it." That leaves a lot of teams with cap space eyeing Hartenstein and an expectation in league circles that the bidding will start at $20 million a season or 4 years, $80 million, which is more than the Knicks can offer. The Thunder is viewed by NBA sources as the top threat to pry Hartenstein away from the New York Knicks in NBA free agency. And that's just unfortunate, because if that were to happen, the Knicks would have a major hole on this roster that they wouldn't really have the resources to fill. Some other destinations that Hartenstein could look at in free agency include the Philadelphia 76ers, the Orlando Magic, the Detroit Pistons, the OKC Thunder, and the Charlotte Hornets. All these teams, they have cap space. I don't think the Sixers are going to shell out a bag. Maybe the Magic, maybe the Pistons, maybe OKC and the Hornets. But I've said it for a couple weeks now. OKC seems like the top destination. If you're thinking to yourself, Marshall, there's no way that Hartenstein's worth $20 million. Look at what other centers are going to be getting paid in the 2024-25 season. Jokic, $55 million. Embiid, $53. Then a fall off. Gobert, $41. Anthony Davis, $37. DeAndre Ayton, $33. Bam Adebayo, $32.6. All of those players, they deserve more than Hartenstein. But then you get into this next tier where Lopez and guys like that are making that type of money. And Nikola Vucevic is making $20 million. And Jakob Poeltl makes $19.5. We're going to say Hartenstein's not better than Jakob Poeltl or Yusuf Nurkic or Zach Collins or Okongwu or Stewart. He's better than everyone pictured on this screen, and that is why he's going to be in line for a major payday. If I'm the Knicks, though, you got to do whatever it takes. And I know there's only so much you could do. 4 years, $72.5 million. You got to pay him under the table, pay him under the table. Do something shady to make sure he's a Knick because he's just 26 years old, and he's not even scratching the surface of the player that he can be. His first year with the Knicks, he was good, but we saw a major growth when Mitchell Robinson went down, and he had to be put into the starting lineup. Before Robinson went down, those 26 games as a reserve, Hartenstein was giving you a solid stat line of 6 points, 6 rebounds, almost 3 offensive rebounds per game, over an assist per night, and almost 2 steals and blocks combined. Then he had to become a starter. And in those final 49 games, he upped his point total to almost 9 per game, almost giving you 10 boards per game, giving you nearly 3.5 offensive rebounds. He became more of that playmaker and really a guy that was a distributor for the New York Knicks, averaging 3.1 assists, and he gave you 1.2 blocks per game and 1.3 steals per game. Hartenstein was a major piece to the success that the New York Knicks had last year, and losing him would be a major loss. It would, and I'm not so sure how you fill that hole. We'll talk about around the corner some potential replacements, but you're not going to find an Isaiah Hartenstein in free agency with the money that the Knicks are going to have to spend, which means you're probably going to have to look to Mitchell Robinson to get back into the starting lineup and rely on him to be your starting center. And he is more than capable. He has more than enough ability and talent and IQ and really just veteranness in him to start. But it's the games played that I'm worried about for Robinson. Are we sure that he's going to be able to hold up for an entire season? He had 2 surgeries last year, played in just 30 games, played in just 59 games the year before that. He was awesome in 2021 and 2022 when he played 72 games, but in 2020 he only played 31 games. He's only played 60-plus games one time in the last 4 seasons. We know Robinson's an elite shot blocker. We know he's one of the best offensive rebounders in the NBA. He can dominate a game on both sides of the floor. We saw that in the 2023 playoffs against the Cleveland Cavaliers. But sometimes the best ability is availability. And if you're only giving me 30, 59, and 31 games per year, I just can't count on you to be my starting center. And that's what I worry about with Mitchell Robinson. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we're going to be live for almost every single day of the first week for NBA free agency. So if Hartenstein signs anywhere, whether it's the Knicks or OKC, we'll be breaking it down live, as well as everything else that goes down across the association. So if you love the Knicks and you want free, informative, entertaining content every day, subscribe to the channel. All righty. So we know that the Oklahoma City Thunder are extremely interested in Hartenstein, and there's other teams out there that will offer him more than the New York Knicks. He's going to have to take a hometown discount to come back. I'm not so sure he will be doing that. So let's talk about players that the Knicks could replace or try to replace Hartenstein with. If I-Hart leaves in free agency, the New York Knicks are most likely going to have their mid-level exception available to them. And that would be a 4-year deal worth about $55 million. And you can go out and get a solid player if you wanted to do so. And it would change really the way you're going about building this team, because if you lose Hartenstein, you got to go out and add a center. So let's talk about 5 centers in free agency I think the Knicks should target. Number 1, and really the top guy on my list, is Kevon Looney, the defensive specialist and rebounding maniac for the Golden State Warriors. He is a multi-time NBA champion. And I'm always going to respect Kevon Looney for the way that he just goes about handling his business. And it sounds like the Golden State Warriors, they are done with Kevon Looney. You see Evan Sidri here reporting that Kevon Looney will likely be released by the Warriors to save money on their tax bill. Only $3 million of Looney's $8 million salary is guaranteed until it fully locks in on June 24th. If Looney is released, expect plenty of interest. And if Looney is released and Hartenstein leaves, I'm expecting the Knicks to have a lot of interest in the 2-time NBA champion. He's the guy that can come in and give you a lot of the same things that Hartenstein does. Physicality, grit and grind, toughness, rebounding, shot blocking, and just being that dominant presence in a game. He can't necessarily score the ball the same way Hartenstein does. He also doesn't create for others the way Hartenstein does. He averages just, for his career, he averages just 1.6 assists per game. So he's not someone that's going to operate out of the top of the key, running that dribble handoff and trying to throw those backdoor cuts to DiVincenzo. But if you're looking for a guy that's got a lot of playoff experience, can own the glass, and be a shot blocker while giving you all energy all the time, Kevon Looney makes a lot of sense for me. If you're looking for more of a little bit of an offensively skilled big, Mo Wagner of Orlando could make some sense for the New York Knicks. He's still just 27 years old, despite bouncing around the NBA a couple of times, but he's 6'11", 245 pounds. Not the physical threat and imposing build that Isaiah Hartenstein is, but he gives you a little bit more on the offensive end. You look at the stats, he's averaged over 10.5 points per game each of the last 2 seasons, and he can shoot the ball a little bit better and just does it more often than Hartenstein does. He can handle the ball a little bit, so it gives you a little bit more versatility, and it diversifies your center portfolio with him and Mitchell Robinson. I would start Robinson and bring Wagner off the bench. He could shoot from the outside a little bit. Not great percentages, below league average, but he at least imposes a threat onto defenses to at least think about him when he's on the perimeter. And I think that it could make a lot of sense for the Knicks to target him because I don't think it'll cost them too much money on the salary cap, and they should be able to fit that in within the mid-level exception. The next player is one of the best rebounders in NBA history, a Northeast guy himself, Andre Drummond. Spent the last couple of years with the Chicago Bulls, 6'10", 279 pounds, 30 years old, and just absolutely eats on the glass offensively and defensively. And if you're going to lose Hartenstein, you're going to need someone to continue to keep that theme, that toughness, that grit, and that grind of owning the glass. That is a major piece into the formula for the New York Knicks to win games. And there's not many players that rebound the ball better than Andre Drummond. He averaged 9 rebounds per game last year coming off the bench. Kind of a little bit of a renaissance for his career. He was able to come back after somewhat looking as a guy that may be out of the league and a veteran minimum for the remainder of his career. He popped off last year, averaged 9 rebounds per game. He's also given you 3.4 offensive rebounds per game. So you're getting a guy that could dominate the glass. And if you want to continue that mode of extra opportunities equals a higher offensive rating, could make some sense for Drummond to be a guy they look at. A player that I'm actually really intrigued in is Jalen Smith from the Indiana Pacers. This is a guy that didn't really even play in the playoff series for the Indiana Pacers, but he gives you another player that can stretch the floor for the New York Knicks, especially at the height that he has at 6'10", 215 pounds, so a little bit lighter in the pants, 24 years old, so he's still going to continue to grow in this league, but he gives you a guy that's willing to take shots from the outside, and he's been able to prove throughout his career that he can make shots as well. Last year, Smith shot 42.4% from downtown on 2.4 three-pointers attempted per night. The Knicks don't have a big on this team that can stretch the floor the way he does. He can also protect the rim at a decent rate. Last year, averaged half a block. Year before, 1 block. And the year before that, 0.8 blocks per game. So he's someone that can stretch your offense out, can knock down some catch-and-shoot threes, protect the rim a little bit, and give you some size off the bench. Don't think it cost you a lot of money. Jalen Smith might be on the radar for the Knicks if number 55, Isaiah Hartenstein, leaves. Last player I want to talk about is Goga Bitadze, the big imposer, the physical threat from the Orlando Magic. I just remember watching the Knicks and Magic games this year, and Goga was able to just kind of bully the New York Knicks front line a little bit. He gave Hartenstein everything he could handle, as well as Mitchell Robinson. And this is someone that would continue to bring that physicality and brute force to this basketball team. Kind of a theme that I'm going with. You're not going to be able to replace him, but can you find someone or a couple of players that possess similar qualities that he does? And Bitadze, in limited action throughout his career, hasn't necessarily stuffed the stat sheet, but he is someone that could be a productive player, and he can be someone that's a rotational piece off the bench for a winning ball club, and that's exactly what the New York Knicks are. He can protect the rim, averaged 1.2 blocks per game this year. In 2020, he averaged 1.3 blocks per game. He can also rebound the basketball, and he's someone that could make a lot of sense for the New York Knicks. A hard screener, a downhill threat in the roll game, not someone that's going to light up the scoreboard on points per game, but he's someone that can contribute in multiple ways to help you win games. You're just not going to find, though, another Hartenstein. Like, there's a reason teams are going to offer him $80 million potentially. He's a really good basketball player. And I hope I haven't seen him play his last game for the New York Knicks. I think there's still a chance he comes back. I know he loves playing for the Knicks. I know he loves playing with Brunson and Hart and all those guys. But at the end of the day, does he love them $18 million guaranteed enough? Because at the end of the day, it's about dollars. You got to make it make sense. Pick one to sign if I-Hart leaves. Would you want Kevon Looney, Mo Wagner, Andre Drummond, Jalen Smith, or Goga Bitadze. Give me the initial of the player you want to see playing for the Knicks next year if Isaiah Hartenstein does leave. Make sure you are following me over on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. Hit me up over there for more Knicks coverage every day.